Hi guys, so today I'm going to be going over my high school stats and extracurriculars and just walking you guys through my experience with the college application process. Okay, so to start out, I applied to 28 colleges. I'll put all of them on the screen. I was accepted into 14 and then I was waitlisted at 7 and rejected at 7. I've committed to Duke University and I was actually originally waitlisted at Duke. That was the only waitlist that I pursued, but I sent in a letter of continued interest and also an additional recommendation letter and I got off the waitlist. So I had originally committed to Johns Hopkins, but when I got off the waitlist, I recommitted to Duke. But basically, I'm just going to be going through my Common App pretty much and just all of the sections of my application. And then I'll give some general tips and advice and things that, I wish I had heard at the end of the video. Okay, so just to start off with some general demographic things, on my Common App, I put that I'm fluent in both English and Spanish, both as a first language. So just some general information about the school that I went to. So I went to a K through 12 private school in Worcester, Massachusetts. There were about 50 kids in my grade, so about 200 kids in the entire high school. It wasn't a boarding school and it wasn't religious, it was just a private school. And we did not have an IB curriculum and we had minimal AP offers. And then we didn't do class rank, so I didn't put anything for rank. And then we also didn't do weighted GPAs, just unweighted, and my unweighted GPA was 3.851. Okay, then to go over my classes and grades. So freshman year, I took AP Spanish, I got an A, Chemistry, I got an A, History, I got an A. We did like freshman seminar things, which was just a pass-fail class, and I passed that. Honors Geometry, I got an A-, and then I got an A- in English as well. And I got an A in PE. Then sophomore year, I took Advanced Spanish, which was like the one after AP, and I got an A. I took AP Chemistry, and I got a B. I took Biology, and I got an A. I took History, I got an A. Honors Algebra 2, I got a B+. And in English, I got an A-. So my freshman and sophomore grades were like good, they just weren't great. But junior and senior year, I kind of locked in more. So junior year, I took Advanced US History, I got an A. AP Bio, I got an A. AP Computer Science, I got an A. AP English Language, I got an A. Honors Pre-Calculus, I got an A. Mandarin 1, I got an A. Science and Engineering Inquiry, which was basically like a class in my school where we did the science fair and designed our own science experiment, and I got an A in that. And then senior year, my first semester grades were what was submitted to college. So first semester, I took AP English Literature, I got an A. AP Physics C, I got an A-. AP Calculus BC, I got an A. Advanced Global Seminar, which is like the history, I got an A. And then I continued taking Science and Engineering Inquiry and I got an A. Oh, and I also took Psychology 1 and I got an A. And I took another history elective, World Religions and Cultures, and I got an A. So those were all my grades and classes. My school didn't offer that many APs. I took pretty much all the APs that were offered, I believe. And I didn't submit all of my test scores. I only submitted 3. So I submitted a 4 in AP Spanish, a 4 in AP Lang, and a 4 in AP Bio. And then I also submitted that year I was going to take AP Lit, AP Physics, and AP Calc BC. So I didn't really have that many test scores to submit. In terms of the SAT, I took the SAT 3 times. I submitted 2 tests for a super score of 1530 with a 750 in English and a 780 in math. Then for my awards, I grouped awards together into different slots. So for the first spot, I put Coca-Cola Scholars semifinalist, and then I put that I got that in 12th grade, and then I put and Women in STEM Scholarship from RIT, which I got in 11th grade. Then the second award spot, I again put 2 awards. I put the Junior Scholar Award, which is awarded to the top 3 students in the junior grade, and Cum Laude Society Induction. And those were both from junior year. And then in the 3rd award spot, I put Junior History Award, which is awarded to the top junior history student. And then in the 4th award spot, I put ALA Massachusetts Girls State, and that I was a town moderator in Girls State, which was basically just like a 1-week-long summer program. And then in the 4th spot, I put AP Scholar with Distinctions and National Top School Recognition, which are 2 awards that I got from College Board in 11th grade. So all of my awards were from 11th grade or early 12th grade before I submitted my college applications. Okay, so now to get into all of my extracurriculars, I'm gonna read out all the activities and explain them that I put on my Common App, and then I'll also talk about the additional information section on my Common App that people debate about whether it's a good thing to use it or not, but I used it and I put more extracurriculars there, so I will share all of that with you guys. Okay, so to start out, my first activity is Business Operations Fellow of Seaside Sustainability, and I've done that from 10th grade to 12th grade. Basically, Seaside Sustainability is a nonprofit dedicated to ocean sustainability and education. And so I joined in 10th grade as an intern, and then I was promoted to fellow, and I basically manage the entire business team and interns and focus on all of the business operations. So, securing sponsors and doing outreach. So that was pretty much that role. I put it as my number 1 just because I spent the most amount of time on it and it was the activity that meant most to me. So that's why I had that there. And then my second activity was a student government activity. And so I did this from 10th to 12th grade. And basically the way my school did student government is there was student council and there was activities board, and it was 2 separate bodies. So we had elections for activities board representatives and for student council representatives. And so I was an activities board representative my 10th and 11th grade year, and then in 12th grade I was the head of the club, and that was a school-wide election. So I was elected by the school to be the head, and in the previous years it had been grade-wide elections to be a representative. But basically the activities board just focused on planning out all the activities for the school, so like homecoming, class competitions, carnival, and as activities board head, I also hosted assemblies with the student council president. My third activity I put as environmental, and I did this my 11th and 12th grade year, and that is marketing national coordinator for Fridays for Future. So basically, Fridays for Future is an international climate and environmental advocacy group, and basically I managed the national social media. So basically the way it worked is like it's a bunch of chapters across the country, and then there's like the main national team. And so I managed the social media for the national team and also helped the smaller chapters with social media accounts, making toolkits for them so that they would be able to set up their own social media accounts. Then my fourth activity was also environmental, and this is head of environmental club at my school. So I did this 11th and 12th grade year, and it was basically just focused on school-wide sustainability efforts. We implemented recycling, had Earth Day events, that type of thing, and creating educational materials for the entire upper school. Okay, so for my fifth activity, I put an internship, which I did the summer going into senior year, so summer of my 11th grade. And I was a summer intern for Senator Robin Kennedy's office. So basically I got to attend state governmental events and do research on different bills and just general administrative tasks around the office. So that was my fifth activity, and I did that during the summertime. And then my sixth activity I put it as a club activity, and I did this my 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year, and that is being head of Big Buddies Club, which Big Buddies at my school just connected freshmen and new students to a big buddy, and we would partner them up based off interests and then organize different community activities for them throughout the year. Okay, so then for my 7th activity, I put it as paid work, and I did this 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So I had multiple different part-time jobs, so I just put them all in one activity. And I just listed it as multiple part-time jobs, and then I wrote each place and what year I worked at the place at. My next activity, number 8, I did 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and this was being board member of my local public library. So I was on their teen advisory board, and so we basically just met bi-weekly to plan and organize events for the town and library, such as Fall Fest. My next activity, I basically just grouped together all the sports that I participated in high school. I kind of did sports sporadically, like it was kind of random, but I did them in 9th, 11th, and 12th grade. And so I did swim, soccer, and track and field were the ones that I put, and I was on the varsity team for all 3 because my school didn't have JV because we were too small. And then my last activity, I did 9th through 12th grade, and it was an admissions ambassador for my school. So basically I just gave tours to prospective families, and I would help at like open houses and stuff like that. And then to go into my additional information section, so first I put, due to a scheduling conflict, I was unable to take Mandarin 2 this year, resulting in my taking world religions instead. So basically just clarifying why I didn't continue the language. Then I put different Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth courses that I took. So over junior year and the summer following, I took 3 ungraded courses with them, and the courses that I took were Unquiet Minds, which was a course on neurological disorders, Law and Justice, Race, Rights, and Reform, and then I also took the Economics of Everyday Decisions. And then all of my volunteer experience I put in my additional information section. So I put that I was a refugee tutor for Forging Opportunities for Refugees in America since 11th grade. I put that I was an American Red Cross blood drive ambassador since 10th grade, and I volunteered with Urbe a Pie since 9th grade, which is a nonprofit in Puerto Rico, and I designed their new website and volunteered in different in-person projects when I would go to Puerto Rico. And then the last thing I put in my additional information section was more details about the project that I was working on, my science and engineering inquiry class. So I'll just read what I wrote. But basically I said, additionally, in my science and engineering inquiry class, my partner and I will be presenting our research at the Worcester Regional Science Fair in March. Our project works to genetically modify Arabidopsis thaliana plants to make them less susceptible to drought. We will be doing this by testing EPF2 and TMM tDNA mutant insertion line seeds and testing their growth in comparison to control in 3 different drought replicating environments. We spent the second semester of junior year writing our project proposal and began experimentation in the summer before senior year. Over the next 2 semesters, we will continue experimenting and collecting our results for the science fair. So that was my additional information section. Again, people have mixed opinions on whether it's good or not to use. I personally think if you don't have space for other things that you want to share, I feel like it's worth using. I just wouldn't force it. Like if you don't have anything to share, that's fine. You don't need to share something there. But I think definitely that if you have something that you want to share that didn't fit anywhere else, like don't be afraid to put it in there. I don't think it hurts you to give them more information about yourself that you think will help your application. If you think something strengthens your application, don't be afraid to include it. Okay, so now to just talk more about my general experience and also what I would recommend for other people going through the application cycle. So looking back, I would honestly say I kind of regret applying to the number of schools that I did. The way I did it is I applied to the 20 on Common App because Common App has a restriction of 20, and then I applied to 3 on the UC application, and then I applied to 5 on the coalition application. I don't think making the coalition application was necessary. I feel like I should have just stuck with Common App. Like those were all last minute applications where I was kind of freaking out and I was like, I'm not gonna get into college, like I need to apply everywhere. But you're gonna get into college as long as you have a good number of reaches, targets, and safeties. You're gonna be fine. You don't need to apply to more than 20. And I feel like if you have to choose between sending out 10 really strong applications or 30 applications that you just put a little time into each one, you should definitely pick just sending out 10 really strong applications. So just make sure you have a balance and you're applying to a number of colleges that's reasonable for you. If you have enough time to write a lot of applications, then that's fine. But if you know that you don't have enough time and energy to put into like 20 plus applications, then don't submit 20 plus applications because you're just gonna end up burning out. Adding on to kind of like the time of things, I would recommend do things as early as possible. Typically colleges post their like essay prompts in August before your senior year. I would honestly try to get as much done the summer before as you can, because honestly, senior year is very stressful. I feel like everyone told me it was like super light and like way easier than junior year, but that was not my experience at all. Like senior year was really stressful, and I think it was so helpful for me that I had gotten so much done for college applications over the summer, and it just wasn't something that I had to worry about when I was focusing on my grades. Because your first semester of senior year, those are the last grades going to college. So it's really important that you lock in on those grades and you're focused on kind of giving a last good impression of yourself. So if you're able to spend more of your senior year focused on your grades and less focused on college applications that you haven't written yet, it's gonna benefit you in the long run. So if you're able, I would try to get as much done as possible the summer before your senior year. Like try to have that Common App essay pretty much done. Try to have a good amount of your early application supplementals done. Also, the earlier you write things, the more opportunities it gives you to look at them with fresh eyes. Like there were a lot of things that I wrote, say I wrote it 2 months before it was due, I would look at it a month later with fresh eyes and I would see a lot of issues with it or things that I wanted to change. So I feel like writing things earlier gives you more opportunity to revise it and get fresh perspective on it. Because I feel like when you're working on one thing for a short period of time, it's easier to lose sight of what you're trying to say and like the prompt you're trying to answer. So I don't know, I would just recommend to try to get everything done as early as possible. Your future you will thank you, and it will save you a lot of time and a lot of stress. Also, another thing I would say is I feel like there's this idea that you need to be locked in since like the second you enter high school, and that's not necessarily true. Like if you were listening to a lot of my activities, most of them I started in like 10th or 11th grade. I really didn't lock in until the summer going into my junior year. Like before that, I didn't really have many activities or like particularly interesting things. Like all of my awards were from 11th and 12th grade. So like it's not too late to lock in and present yourself well in college admissions. You're definitely able to get into good schools even if you weren't super locked in from the second you got to school. So don't stress on that too much, as long as you feel that like junior and senior year you are representative of what you want to put out there. I feel like that's what's most important. At the end of the day, people grow and develop, and just because you didn't know exactly what you wanted to be when you were 14 years old, you're not going to get penalized for that. Also, in terms of different like application platforms, make sure you look into what each school uses. So like I know like Georgetown and MIT have their own platforms, and the UC has their own platforms. So for like the UCs, for example, if you only want to apply to one UC school, is it really worth doing that entire application? Obviously, if it's your number one school, then like, yeah, it's worth it. But I would think about it more in terms of the UC application specifically, because it is a lot of work for just one set of schools. And if you don't love the schools, I would be more hesitant on filling out the application. Also, just generally don't be too hard on yourself. Like this is a very stressful time. You're 17, 18 years old. You don't need to have your entire life figured out, and it's unreasonable to have that expectation put on you. So just relax. You're gonna go to college and it's gonna be fine no matter where you go. You are going to end up at the place that you're meant to be. I know everyone says that, but I genuinely think it's so true. You're gonna end up at the place that you're meant to go to, even if it wasn't the place that you had originally pictured yourself at. Going off of that, try not to romanticize one specific school too much. Obviously, it's okay to have a number one choice and, you know, have a school they really want to go to. If they offer ED, that's great options, but don't romanticize it so much in your mind that it's like that place or nowhere else, because I kind of did that and I ended up getting rejected at that school, and it was so like devastating to get that rejection. But it really shouldn't have been such a big moment, because I still got into like a bunch of other really great schools, and I feel like that rejection almost took away from that. And I think looking back, I romanticized the school so much to like an unreasonable extent. Like realistically, it's just a college, just like every other college. A lot of it is luck. Like even if you are the best applicant ever, you can't control where you get in and where you don't. So like, again, it's fine to have a number one choice, but just make sure you're not over romanticizing places. Another thing I would say is it is your senior year and it's your last year of high school, so make sure you're still enjoying yourself and hanging out with your friends and doing the things that you love to do, and you're not just solely focused on college applications, because I know it's easy to get wrapped up in that. So just make sure you are still staying present and, you know, being with the people that you love for the last year that you're in school with them, and, you know, the last year living with your family. So don't focus too much on applications. Obviously, I know they're very consuming, but try not to let it consume all of your time. Okay, my outro video somehow got deleted or something, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that these tips were helpful. I know this is a super stressful time, so I wish all of you good luck on your college applications, and I have complete faith that you will all end up where you're meant to go. If you want to hear more about essays or like my waitlist process, just let me know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you all next week.